Hello, everyone, and how are all of you doing? We are back. We are definitely back. It's a holiday week. We're back for Rob's Real and Ridiculous Podcast. It is episode number 45. Big 4-5 Man Cave Studios, Valley of the Sun. I hope you are all doing well. I hope you're all having a good week. I hope you're all staying safe and ready to go for this holiday season that we have coming up. I can't believe it is almost Christmas. I cannot believe it is almost Christmas. It's amazing where this year went. Crazy year of 2020, as I always say, and have said, expect the unexpected. And it's been one of those years. It really has. I mean, 20 straight years, 20 straight great runs for the New England Patriots, and as of yesterday, they are now officially out of the 2020 playoffs, as they should be. Not a very good team. At least we were able to have just a little bit of hope, although it was probably false hope, that we had a chance this year to at least sneak in that final spot as a wild card. There's a few games that could have went as wins, but there's a few games we won that definitely could have went down as losses. We'll get into that a little bit when I go around the NFL. Before I start out this week, I want to give a special shout out to my oldest daughter, who now just turned 18, Madison Sophia Wambolt, 18 years old on Friday, December 18th. She's 1 week out from Christmas, so I want to say congratulations to my beautiful daughter. 18 fast, quick years. Came out as a preemie, a little 3-pounder, just a little over 3 pounds, and look where she's at today. So I want to wish her a very special happy birthday as she approaches the second half of her senior year. And then next summer we'll be off to U of A. So again, happy birthday, Madison. We love you. COVID-19, how are you doing? Are you staying safe? I'm hearing, as I said last week, a lot more cases. It seems to be surging. We just got to hope that this thing kind of, starts to slow down and not continue to gain momentum as we enter into the winter months. A lot of controversy around the vaccine, a lot of controversy. So let's just hope these are isolated cases. I've heard of reports of people getting extreme illness, getting allergic reactions. There were 3 or 4 reported cases, and I don't know what the sample size was, of people getting Bell's palsy from it as well, which is scary in itself. And then I actually witnessed a nurse that was doing a live news presser out of Chicago last week that actually had just taken a shot along with her staff. When she came out to address the media, she passed out. And they said it was from the vaccine. But again, who knows? I mean, we can't get all too little frantic and too nervous about it. We just got to kind of wait and see as these waves of people go through to get it and just see what it is. And one thing I will always say, everybody's body functions differently. So who knows? It might be one manufacturer's vaccine your body will accept, the others you will reject. I've also heard of some other complications as it relates to women and fertility. So things we need to look into. So let's just hope they get this thing perfected. Let's just hope it's isolated cases and that we can move forward into 2021, because we are less than 2 weeks away from reining in 2021. What a year it's been. But we're going to have a great 2021. I feel very confident about it. But the holidays are here. So what are you doing? What are you doing around the holidays? Are you shopping? Are you going Amazon? I'm hearing a lot of people are ordering from Amazon, which I think is probably the way to go. We've got a little blend going on in this house, but tweet me how you're shopping this year for 2020. Tweet me at rwombold55. Tweet me at rwombold55. More importantly, what do you do? What do you like for music? What do you like for Christmas movies? What are your all-time favorite Christmas movies? Now's the time to kind of turn those movies on and watch them. And watch those movies. I mean, there's a long list of movies that, I love and are a must-sees in this house. One of them we love is definitely Elf. We love Elf. We love the Santa Claus 1 and 2. Definitely like The Grinch with Jim Carrey. And you get some really good, and then forget about the old classics. Santa Claus is Coming to Town, that was on late last night. on Freeform, and then Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, all classics. We have the whole disc series. You cannot beat those movies, blast from the past, and you kind of wrinkle those in or slide those in with some of the newer ones that have been out there over the years. There's always something good. Christmas Chronicles 2, I have not seen yet, out on Netflix. That is out on Netflix. We're going to try and watch that this week. Another one that we like is Just Friends. It's a comedy. It wasn't specifically made for Christmas, but it's a Christmas time movie. It's during that month of December that the story takes place in New Jersey. So that's another good one. It's a classic in this house that we love, and you get a good laugh. That one's with Ryan Reynolds. That one's been out there for quite some time. So what do you like? Tweet me at R1Bolt55. Tweet me at R1Bolt55. What are some of your favorite, songs for Christmas when you listen to Christmas music? Do you listen to Christmas music in the car? It's that time of year, and it's a very short window of time that we can play the music, feel good about it, and to an extent do some reminiscing. So Mariah Carey is on the top of my list. All I Want for Christmas. It just got that good beat to it, but there's a ton of classics from from a lot of great musicians out there that have put out Christmas albums. So Christmas music is also a big part of what's going on here in this house, and I'm sure it is for a lot of you. So we're swinging into the final 2 weeks of the football season, and I don't really dig too deep into college. A couple things. One thing last week that I totally forgot about and had to bring up was Sarah Fuller. So Sarah Fuller was the first woman to score in a Power 5 football game. She kicked those 2 extra points against Tennessee a few weeks ago. Not only that, she was the goalkeeper for the Vanderbilt soccer team who won the SEC championship against Arkansas back in November. Quite an athlete. Already going to be headed into the Hall of Fame for what she did. And God, I'll tell you what, kudos to her to step in a moment where the team really had a need at kicker. And to go on there and do that is phenomenal, let alone to do that as a woman. Fantastic. Love the story. Great story. Kudos to Sarah Fuller. One of the really good stories of 2020. A really good story for 2020. But this bowl thing, it's bowl season. So we've got a couple things going on. We've got two, I consider small controversies going on right now with the bowl season. One is the players that are playing in the bowls want to have their families there. They want to, regardless of where they're playing, they want to have their families there now. There's some states, as you know, they're allowing fans in. I watched the Canelo Callum Smith fight the other night out of San Antonio, and there was a great crowd there for that. They had them spread out, but it looked like a good, healthy crowd. They're doing it out in Florida. They're doing it in all places in Texas, a little bit out here in Arizona too. But what are your thoughts on that? Do you think the fans should be, not fans should be allowed, the families of the players should be allowed at these bowl games? It's a special time. There's a lot of these players that are seniors. This is it for them. They might not be going on to the pros. This is their swan song, and then they're going to go, like a lot of us did, and go join the men's leagues later, So what are your thoughts on that? The other thing is obviously the Final Four, right? You got Alabama, you got Clemson, you got Ohio State, and you got Notre Dame. And the controversy has really not been about Alabama or Clemson, and Alabama by far, I don't have a per se favorite team where I grew up in the Northeast. College football is really not that big. Boston College was probably the team, just kind of growing up through the years. More specifically with the Doug Flutie Hail Mary that kind of drew us all in the day after Thanksgiving years and years ago. We're more college hockey than anything else in the Northeast, so we really don't have a little bit of college hoops, but not so much on college football. And I've always had a group of teams that I liked. Definitely, I was always an Ohio State fan. I know a lot of people out in the Cleveland, Austintown area. Also a fan of Notre Dame, just because, the Rudy movie, fan of the Golics. So just kind of started following the team then, like Brady Quinn. and always been I'm a Nick Saban fan. There's a lot of people don't like Nick Saban. I'm a big fan of his. He's part of that Belichick tree, and I love Alabama. So right now they're going to be my pick to win it all, and they seem to be just crushing teams. As a matter of fact, they start out against Notre Dame, and I think I saw a crazy spread this morning of 17.5-point favorites this week going into that game. And then you got Clemson and Ohio State, and everybody knows Ohio State. I love Ohio State. A little bit of a controversy there since they only played 6 games. They're 6-0. They didn't play a full schedule. As you know, this is a very subjective. It is very subjective in terms of choices, and in terms of who's the top 4, top 10, the power rankings. There's something to be said for the eye test for a lot of these people who vote these teams in on the board. But Dabo Swinney, kind of liked them a few years ago, a little bit, when they won with Clemson. Now he's just getting a little bit too much of a big mouth for me. And Ohio State did not select themselves. Okay, so let's get that first. Let's get that straight first, Dabo. But you don't have to be doing a press conference throwing jabs when you're going up against this team. And I hope they smoke Clemson. I really do. I hope they beat them. They're underdogs. He made a comment earlier this morning. He said, well, haven't got a chance to watch them much at all this year because we have our own games. He said, but I'll get caught up real quick based on the small sample size of games they played this year. So little jab, little bit of bulletin board material. He's a little bit too mouthy for my liking. I'm not a big fan of his, to be quite honest with you. I'm a fan of the quarterback, but I'm not a fan of his. So I will be pulling for Ohio State without question. And in Alabama, however, if Notre Dame pulls out the upset, kudos to them. So there's just a little bit about the NFL. The college ranks. We're going to swing into the NFL here in a minute. But so what are your thoughts on the Final Four? Again, tweet me at R1Bolt5. Give me your R1Bolt55. Give me your thoughts on any of that as it relates to what I just spoke about, the college, the families, etc. As we moved into the last weekend of the season, we knew we had some teams that were hanging on a thread, some teams that are positioning for a first round bye, being that there's only one first round bye this year. One team will secure it. I think Pittsburgh's kind of like, throwing that out the window for them, and I know the Chiefs were just going to turn it up the last couple weeks. And you got teams still vying for it to get into the playoffs. Buffalo looks good. Buffalo looked good on Saturday afternoon against Denver. They might still be my number 2 choice or my number 1 choice in the AFC to maybe knock off Kansas City. Kansas City just looks like they're going to turn it on and turn it up whenever they need to. I don't see anyone beating them. I really don't. But it was a good game yesterday. Drew Brees looked brutal in the first half of yesterday's game. He looked awful. And it makes sense. I mean, the guy's coming back for what, 9, 10, 12, whatever it is, multiple broken ribs, punctured lung. I mean, what do you expect? Probably should not have been brought back for that game at risk of further injury for the playoffs, but they did it. He came out much better in the second half. He had that ugly interception in the first half. Oh, it was terrible. Terrible. But again, it's to be expected, but he gutted it up. They played a really good second half, and they only lost by a field goal, and they did it without their top wide receiver. So just something to think about if these two teams meet, which that's still, again, my choice. Maybe Green Bay sneaks in, but I don't see anybody else in the NFC getting in. I'm not, again, I said this last week, I'm not impressed with anybody in the field on the NFC side as I am on the AFC. I can pick 2 or 3 teams I think are just better teams than what's going on in the NFC, but I could be proven wrong. But I think that was our little highlight to what could be the Super Bowl. And if it is, I think it's going to be a damn good game, and I think it'll go down to the wire. Boy, Tampa Bay. Talk about a tale of 2 halves. A team of 2 halves. They looked so bad yesterday in the first half. Brady looked terrible in the first half. But we all know when you're playing the Atlanta Falcons, we can go back to that Super Bowl in 2018. They just completely caved in. And I love Matt Ryan. And he had a great first half, but he certainly didn't play that great in the second half, nor did the team. It's on the team as well. Down 17 points on two different occasions. They were down 17-0, 24-7. Brady looked sharp, really sharp in the second half. Really sharp. I don't know what it is with the slow starts with this team. They could be a sleeper only because they have the talent. Only because they have the talent. And they got the quarterback who's been there. But you got to keep him standing up straight in the pocket. You got to give him the protection. And maybe, Tampa Bay to me would be my team, my so-called wild card, if you will. And they're going to be a wild card. But wild card in the sense of the team that could maybe go through and upset and get themselves into the Super Bowl and play in their own stadium. That would be my team, definitely on the NFC side, and on the AFC side. For me, I'm gonna roll with Buffalo. Buffalo looks tough. I know we can't count out Tennessee. I'm told I'm not sold on Pittsburgh. I'll tell you another team though too. Let me go back to that. The Browns look really good. The Browns have gained a lot of confidence, and they're playing really good football. They didn't beat a scrub Giant team. That Giant team's up and coming. They're not in the elite group right now by any means. They got a good defense. They're well-coached. They're a well-disciplined team. They beat a good Giants team. That's why that game was moved by the networks to Sunday Night Football for that very reason. So the Browns continue to play good. They're 10-4. They're probably going to close out. I can't remember off the top of my head who the two teams are left on their schedule, but I know they're not strong. When I was looking at strength of schedule here for wild card opponents going into the playoffs, and so they could finish 12-4, and they're right there. They're right behind Pittsburgh, and Pittsburgh's got an easy game on Monday Night Football against Cincinnati. Phoenix Cardinals, Arizona Cardinals, and Eagles. Probably the best game, I think, of the weekend. Best game of the weekend, and I thought it was just me, but I watched Get Up this morning and a few other of the morning sports talk shows, and they all agreed. What a good back-and-forth game, and boy, Jalen Hurts, does that kid look good or what? Talk about a quarterback controversy? No, there is no quarterback controversy. Your quarterback, you might want to think about him for next year, Carson Wentz, because maybe I know there's something mentally going on with that guy, which is also maybe a concern, because you need to be a mentally tough person when it comes to adversity and getting over losses and bad play. We've seen it with pitchers in baseball. They have a terrible season. Terrible. Chris Sale has it, and then he'll come back and have a killer season. It happens, but they gotta get through it. And for whatever reason, maybe just sitting on the sideline here to finish out the season is the best thing for Carson Wentz. Doug Peterson playing stupid games with the media. Look, dude, you know you're putting this kid in again next week. There's no reason you're not. That kid played a phenomenal football game yesterday, and it was very close on that Hail Mary. But let's give some credit to the Cardinals. Cardinals are not choking away games that they should win. They're not choking away big games like that was a big game yesterday for them to stay in there at 8-6 and secure that final wild card position. So they need to keep playing like that. They've got the Niners and the Rams to finish out the season. And I'll tell you what, the Cards always do well against the Niners, and that's who they have for their next game. But for some reason, they can't beat the Rams. But there's a team in New York, not called the Giants, called the Jets. The Jets. The 0-13 Jets went into L.A. yesterday and beat the Los Angeles Rams. How the hell did that happen? How the hell did that happen? This is a very, very up-and-down Rams team. They can look great one week. Goff can look great one week, and the next week, they're not so great. And you still can't put it all on the defense to pick up the slack every week. Goff is just not a consistently good quarterback, which would lead to some problems for that LA team. I thought he was coming out of a hole. You know me. I've been very critical of Jared Goff in terms of, his ups and downs and really not securing a consistent play in the position. But that was evident yesterday. That was evident. That was a complete crap show on his part. in the team's part. You cannot win Super Bowls with quarterback play like that. You cannot, especially in this league. There's too much talent coming up from the quarterback ranks, and you are not in a position to get in a shootout when any of these teams. And it can't always be Russian roulette. Let's hope he is on this week. It can't be that way. Big upset, and kudos to the Jets for just kind of not tanking. They're being criticized today because now they lost the number 1 pick. I get it. It's going to go to the Jags based on strength of schedule, even though they both have 1 loss. It is what it is. It is what it is, and who knows? Maybe the Jags will win one of these next 2 games. Hard to say what will happen there. I feel bad for the kid coming out if he comes out from Clemson. I feel bad. Neither organization is very good. Maybe New York, the Jets, will finally get it and just stick with Darnold, get better front office operations going. Bring in, I'm hearing rumors, Brian Dabo, the OC for the Buffalo Bills. Bring Dabo, and he's got a ton of experience with New England and now with Buffalo. Bring him in to run your organization. Adam Gase is a complete joke. He's a donkey. He's not a good coach at all. He ruins quarterbacks. He doesn't build quarterbacks. He ruins them. Just because he was working with Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning is a true talent in himself. So you can't give him all the credit for what Peyton Manning did. I'll give you credit when you groom up a quarterback and you coach up a quarterback like Sam Darnold, which you have not done. You have not done. Talked about the Cleveland Giants game, and I talked a little bit about my Patriots, who completely just it's, I said to my wife yesterday, I said, you know what? That's great. We're finally put out of our misery. I will watch them against the Bills on Monday Night Football. I will watch them in their final game of the Jets. I will still support my team. 20 great years. You don't just forget about it all because they had a bad season. What I am concerned about is, what is the plan, Mr. Belichick, for 2021? What is the plan? He was a different Bill this year. Funny story I heard last week coming out of the local sports talk media in Boston is the big snowstorm that hit last Thursday. And Thursday, late Thursday, was early Thursday evening, he held a final meeting with the team for guys that weren't prepared for snow. And he actually brought in a bunch of shovels, but no, true story, bunch of shovels. And what's the best shovel to use based on your situation? In other words, if you just want to dig the top snow, use the plastic shovel. If you need the chip ice away to get out, use a metal shovel. I guess he had this whole 30-minute presentation on how to combat the storm. Make sure you get up early. Bill's always been a stickler. He doesn't care. You know when the storm's coming. If you're late, I'm sending you home. And he's done it. He has sent players home during a snowstorm because they were late for practice. His view is, it's going to take twice the amount of time to get down to the stadium based on where you live. So ahead of time you need to get up that much earlier and get to the stadium. Nobody was late on Friday, which was good to hear. But I thought it was interesting that he did that. So we're going into the final 2 weeks of the season now, and I know a lot of the, everything's wrapping up. It's been such a fast year for football. It always seems like it goes by too quick. But I do think the length of the season is perfect because it always leaves us wanting more. Always leaves us wanting more after the playoffs. We're never sick of it. This year we don't have to. I don't watch it anymore anyways. You don't have to stomach the Pro Bowl, which is brutal. No need to even play that game. I mean, it used to be a fun trip for the players down in Hawaii until they changed that up. What a quick season. A quick season for fantasy football. In my league, I'm going to give a quick shout out to Nicky V in personal injury, and he'll go into the championship game against Manny the Drid and the Drids, Manny Madrid's Drids, and they will play it out for our 32nd season. And Nicky V, who I mentioned, 32 years in the league, has not won it yet. I'm pulling for you, Nicky V. Nothing against Manny, but I'm pulling for Nicky V. I'd love to see him win one. So in 2020, expect the unexpected. Personal injury will win the fantasy football. Hopefully I'm right next weekend when I come to you and talk to you. As I round out this week's show, the NBA is back. The NBA starts Tuesday night on TNT. and they are back for the full slate of games on Christmas Day, and I am so happy. I love the NBA. I enjoy the NBA. I'll be critical of certain things that go on in the NBA. I love the game. I love watching basketball. I enjoy it. Actually, my youngest, Adriana, she loves it. She said, Dad, I'm so happy games are on Christmas Day. We get our Celtics running 3 in the afternoon against the Nets. You get the Lakers are playing, Denver's playing. I mean, there's just a full slate of games. Miami from start to finish. And I like having that going on while you're enjoying the day, eating a lot of good food, opening gifts with family. It is. I think this year Christmas would not. Christmas is already different this year because we're all not able to have those big get-togethers, as I mentioned to you a couple of weeks ago. But once you're in the confines of your own house, like Christmas Day will be the same. Christmas Eve will not be the same for us this year because we can't have everybody over. So it's just, my in-laws side and my side of the family. And we'll have a good time. We'll enjoy it. We're still going to do everything the same food, etc. But on Christmas Day, nothing will change for us. It'll be the same way we celebrate every year Christmas Day, but I'm glad basketball will be going on so we can enjoy that day and it'll feel like some normalcy too. So I hope that is the same for all of you and that you're managing to try to and keep through and go through a lot of your traditions. So it's one of ours. We want to keep it running. Another tradition for me, I live on that damn Hallmark channel. I love those Christmas movies. It's funny. I was listening to Howard Stern a couple of days ago, and he loves the Hallmark channel around Christmas too. But he made some funny, I don't even call them observations. It's just obvious. They've got the same 15 actors that do all the Hallmark movies. I guess they made 40 new Christmas movies for Hallmark this year. An ABC Family, and it's the same group of actors. It's almost the same storyline, right? When you think about it, and it's, the girl that comes over and visiting from out of town, or the guy visiting from out of town, and they're at the general store, and everything's filmed out of, Connecticut, where it looks like winter wonderland. It's always a beautiful backdrop. They bump into each other and knock gifts over or a tray of cookies, and they apologize, and they stare at each other, and then they meet up somewhere else, and there's always kids involved. And when they finally connect and people say, no, are you guys boyfriend and girlfriend? Are you husband and wife? They're like, oh, no, we just ran into each other, but they got the twinkle in the eye staring at each other, and one or the other just got out of a relationship or a divorce. So there's always kids in the mix, and the kids are always pulling for the couple to get together. And they'll be at the front door, and they're just about to kiss, and the little kid will open the door. It's like, Daddy, are you coming in? Or Mom, are you coming in? And so they never have that kiss. And then you know how it all ends. They get together, and they kiss at the end, and we move on to the next movie, and one goes into the next. But they're always colorful and, more importantly, happy movies. Happy. There's no garbage, no arguing. There's no back and forth. There's no negative backdrop to the story. So there really are some feel-good Christmas movies. So I have to say I'm a sap and I'm a sucker for those movies. I really enjoy them. I really do. Just a couple things I want to bring up as we close out this week's show, and I'm going to get into what we got coming up to close out the year and what we have going on for January, which is really exciting. Canelo Alvarez fought for the first time in a year and a half Saturday night against Callum Smith out of San Antonio, Texas. And Triple G fought. I don't want to jump ahead there. Triple G also fought on Friday night and looked really good. Got a TKO, 7th round. Looked really, really fit, really, really good. It's good to see when you haven't seen these fighters for a while, and everybody's human. They got to go through and train, and they're not used to training in an empty house, so to speak. They did have people there out of Hollywood, Florida for the Triple G fight. Triple G looked really good. Do you want to see the trilogy? I'm not so sure I do. I love both fighters. I'm not so sure I want to see a third fight unless it can be a little bit more, the first two were okay for me. They weren't even over the top exciting. One was a draw. I actually thought Triple G won that one. And if he did, that maybe I would want to see the third to see, who's going to win that deciding third fight. But Triple G looked awesome, and he's going to get a big payday coming up. Canelo looked fantastic. Fighting a guy that much taller than you with that long of a reach, Callum Smith, who's got a chin made of stone, and he got rocked by Canelo. I'm not surprised it went the distance. Not surprised. It's no fluke. Canelo fought a fantastic fight, a great fight. And the kid, Callum Smith, did a fantastic job going the distance with Canelo. So we will see what's on the horizon for these two fighters as we go into 2021. It was really good to see them back. It was really good to see they had a pretty damn good crowd there in San Antonio, too. Really good crowd. Not that I want to give this a-hole and this complete donkey any publicity, because I don't. But Jake Paul continues to go above and beyond and crossing the boundaries of sports, ethics, you name it, he does it. He put out a nasty graphic words YouTube video about a little less than a minute, calling out McGregor, calling out McGregor's girlfriend, wife, calling out Dana White, calling him ugly, challenging them all. Nate Diaz is involved now. He backed up McGregor. So he's continued to try to call out all these, and we know why he's doing it, because he wants to get a big payday. I want to see him get his rear end knocked out. I can't stand the guy, and a lot of people know he was part of the destruction of the riots out here in Scottsdale months back in early June when they tore up down at Fashion Square, and they tore up the PF Chang's, they tore up the Apple Store, among a bunch of other places, and he's still under FBI investigation. But this guy is a multi-millionaire. That video, if you do watch it or have seen it, that is his house in the background. That is his mansion. He is worth that kind of money. He supposedly put up $50 million to fight McGregor of his own money. So, is it believable or not? I don't know. I do know he has that kind of money all through flipping YouTube. It's insane. But somebody needs to take him out. Now, Amanda Nunes has challenged him to box him, but he hasn't taken a bait yet. And I'd put my money on her, too. I put my money on her. These are professional fighters. Any fight that he's fought is more of it for entertainment value. They're not sanctioned by the WBA, WBC, IBF. So be careful what you wish for if you get in the ring. Personally, if you got that big of a mouth, go in the octagon. Screw the boxing. Go in the octagon. That way you can get gutted out for five-minute rounds. That's what I want to see. So I hopefully somebody steps up and knocks him out. And what you need to do? No money. You fight for charity. That's what you do. You want to put your money up? You fight for charity. All your money you lose is going to the charity. That's my take on that. And just quick, I did not watch the whole father-son golf matches they had over the weekend. But I'm hearing some really good stories. But I think it was really cool to see Tiger Woods with his little son Charlie out there, and he looks just like a little tiger. And now how does that have to feel for Tiger Woods, who now years later, with his dad is gone, but that's how Tiger grew up with his dad golfing. Now he has his little son Charlie out there. So kudos to them. It looked really like all of them had a good time. I think they finished 7th overall. But what a great experience, and something you would never forget. Never forget as a father. Never forget. So before I wrap it up and close this all out, we've got the final show next week. The final show next week for 2021. For 2020, before we go into 2021. We've got a guest, and it'll be for the December 26th drop. Aggie Dent, she's a young female student out of New York, NYU. She'll be coming from NYU. She's working in the sports industry. She's covering pro basketball, pro cricket, and pro soccer. And she's majoring in sports entertainment out of NYU. So Aggie Dent, next week's show. to close out 2020. So we've got a big show coming up for number 46 before we move into 2021. I will come to you the following week, January 2nd. I will be going solo to kick that show off and kick off the new year for 2021. Following that show, I've got 4 straight weeks of really good guests. Really good guests. We'll start off the week. I'm just going to give you the lineup real quick before I close out the show. January 9th, out of Coral Springs, Florida, Milton Campus. This guy I've been following for about a month now, watching. He does a really good podcast himself called Jiu-Jitsu for Dummies podcast. He's the host of that. He also is a foundation chairman, marketing executive for over 13 years, and more importantly, he's a heart attack survivor and holds a purple belt in jiu-jitsu. So really cool guy. I like watching his stuff. He's got a really good professional podcast. So I'm excited to have him on, and he can share some of his experiences doing the podcast and some of his interaction. But he's a big MMA UFC guy. So I'm excited to have him on. The following week, January 16th, I'll have Aaron Sean Harper on the show. He's a nationally recognized motivational speaker. He runs a multi-million-dollar security firm out of Columbus, Ohio, and he's a former offensive lineman for the Rams, Oilers, and Colts. Excited to have him on the week of the 16th. On the week of January 23rd drop, that Saturday, I will have Gino Payne on. He's from Las Vegas. He's a director and filmmaker, and he worked on Game of Thrones, Walking Dead, Vampire Diaries, and Hard Knocks. He is a producer of the Legends Football League. So I'm excited to have him on. I want to get into a lot of his filmmaking. He's working on a couple projects right now. And I want to hear some of the background stuff on not just Game of Thrones, but definitely Hard Knocks. Looking forward to having Gino on the show. And then the final week, in January 30th, the final week of January, I'll be having Joe Lozada. He's part of the CTS interview podcast group, and comes to us from Alabama. Gets into some Alabama football. He's also a big football fan. He's interviewed Vince Papale on his show, so be curious to see what that was like, how that interview went. He's interviewed a couple of other really good stars as it relates to the TV world, if you will. And he's a big WWE fan, as am I. So that should be a fun, good conversation with Joe. So that's what we have coming up. Aggie next week, and then you'll have me, and then the following 4 weeks, we've got some great interviews lined up. We've got a lot of people that we're looking at. The wife and I, she's helping me put this all together. But more importantly, I'm also getting contacted asking me to join the show. So really good stuff. Really happy about it as we are going to get through this 2020. And let's hope and continue that the sports continue to ramp up. All goes well going into 2021. So to all of you, all of my friends, all of the family, all of my family, have a very happy and blessed 2020 Christmas. Thanks for listening. Thanks for subscribing. I appreciate all the support you've given me here throughout the year, and we'll have that final December show next week with Aggie. But I just want to get that in there before, because it will be after Christmas. So hopefully you all have a great and enjoyable Christmas. And with that, I am going to send you off with my favorite Christmas tune, the one and only Mariah Carey. So good. If you're not in the mood to shop, play this while you're going from store to store. You will get that energy going. The one and only Mariah Carey, All I Want for Christmas. She is the best. Great YouTube video as well. With that, guys and gals, I am officially out. Peace, love. God bless. We'll see you all next week with Aggie. Enjoy your Christmas.